Hey everyone, Caleb with the Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with something that isn't specifically book related, but still has a lot to do with books, and that is bookmarks. And not only that, but bookmarks galore. That's the title of this video. So guys, this video, I've talked about my bookmarks before. This is the one that I sort of based all of this off of. It's just a little etched bookmark. It's ugly on the back side. Front side, it's nice polished brass, and then it has a tiny etching of an initial. This one is the initial C, which works for me. My name's Caleb, but I actually got this in a book. Judging by how long it had likely been since that book was opened, this thing has got to be at least 40 or 50 years old. The book I got it out of was like 150 years old, so it might be a little bit older, but not much older, not with that etching, that sort of stuff. But from that, I was like, I really want to make my own bookmarks. And from there, I was like, okay, I like the antique look. Let's get some antiqued brass. And the antiquing on the brass, it's sort of hard to see on the camera. In fact, some people, if your vision's not great, you might struggle to see a large difference in person. But the antiquing adds just some different tarnish and toning on the particular brass strips that I make my bookmarks with. It's not too exciting, it's not too boring, but it's just a visual thing. Believe it or not, I just listed my first ones of these bookmarks with the toning on them that are stamped. I make sure that I stamp all my ones with initials. People can also buy them blank without the stamp on them, but I've actually only sold the stamped ones to date. No one's wanted just a blank piece of metal. Imagine that. But again, I just listed these ones with the toning recently. I'm asking, I think it was like 25 or 50 cents more for that, because I actually had to buy something called Antiquing Solution for the brass, which was interesting. I experimented with doing it without the antiquing solution, and those results, they just didn't last. There was a lot of like do-it-yourself ones, and most of them, like, it wasn't penetrating enough antiquing patina that it gave the particular bookmarks. But with all that said, this video is not just about me talking about boring bookmark stuff. It's me talking about the business proposition for that, the business scenario on how this might make sense for you guys to do something not necessarily like this, but to consider stuff outside of your normal repertoire for your business. So obviously for me, I sell antique books. I also sell some newer books. Let's see. There's a newer book. Here's some books from, I think it's like the 70s or something like that. So newer books as well. But a lot of my books are antique books. I like the antique look, the vintage look for just like stylized things. So I've been sort of digging into what sort of like stylistic things that I can I get into that I can sell on my shop that are lower end things that a lot more people can get their hands on, because end of the day, as I've mentioned in many other videos, when it rains, it pours with eBay sales. If you can get one or two sales coming in, even on low-end things, it sort of spices up the eBay algorithm to show off a couple of your other things and help you get some more sales beyond that. So with that said, for me, bookmarks was something that I was like, okay, this is a product that I already wanted to add to my store, so let's take the leap. So when I did it, I actually went out and I bought just a boatload of brass, not a whole lot, but enough brass to do this with, and I did all the measurements off of the original bookmark that I had. I was like, okay, it's this gauge, it's this wide, this long, that sort of stuff, and I based everything off of that one for my initial purpose. My initial purchase. These are a little bit thinner and not as wide as the original one, but that was just me trying to keep my costs down and, again, experimenting with things. With all that said, though, I started getting some sales. I don't know for sure if my sales have caught up to my expense for the initial purchase just yet, because I definitely purchased more than I needed, but I did have to purchase more of these non-toned ones, the non-antiqued ones, because I antiqued, let's say, like 60 or so of these, which really ate into my inventory of them. Therefore, I had to buy more of the non-antiqued ones. I just bought over $100 worth of that to get even more of them coming into me. I have a company back east that cuts them out for me that I found online after many hours of research. Guys, that's the other thing. It's going to take a lot of research to get all this going. But anyways, I got my first several sales with this entire business for the bookmarks side of things, and I was pretty happy with it. I've gotten several pieces of feedback from different buyers that are very thrilled, but I've also had some issues along the way. One of which being that USPS is garbage and the Postal Service is not much of a service. It's it's maybe domestic terrorism. I don't know. I'm still trying to decide. Since the government's allowed to call everyone domestic terrorists for showing up to parent-teacher conferences or whatever that was, I figured I could call them that for losing everyone's mail all the time. I don't know. But with that said, and everyone offended now, I don't care. I just wanted to say that the feedback that I've gotten has been quite positive for these. The people that have gotten them are very pleased with them. And because of that, because I have a couple feedback things on these particular bookmarks, I've actually had a few more sales coming in from that, and because of the sales coming in, all that sort of stuff. I am also running I think it's like a 20% off coupon on these to just sort of make it stick out a little bit more than the other bookmarks out there. But that being said, there's not a lot of brass bookmarks for sale on eBay. That is one of the reasons why I decided to go down this path, was I was like, oh, there's not a whole lot of competition. The only competition are people that have like really fancy looking ones, and I've dealt with the really fancy ones. I actually don't know what happened to the particular. I had a little stack of fancy ones that were like a little pointer that went over the page. Don't know what happened to those, but I had several of those at one point in this business, and I didn't sell them on my store, but it was something I was looking at. I was like, oh, I could maybe sell those. And from there, I've hopped onto Alibaba, and I found a whole bunch of other things that I could potentially sell down the road on my eBay store, including those little brass pointer things that are bookmarks. And I'm like, okay, maybe one of these days I might give that one a shot. I've purchased stuff on Alibaba before, had really good success, but it's just one of those things that I'm sort of playing around with and doing more work with. But with all of that said, remember how I already said that I didn't break even just yet on this business, but I already spent more money buying more materials? Well, that's not the only thing I went out and bought, and I actually shared this in a community post on YouTube a little bit ago about how, hey guys, I got this new thing and I'm going to do a video on it. I said I'd do it later that week, but that didn't come to pass because, let's face it, things don't necessarily work the way we want them to work every single time. So this particular thing that I bought ended up taking... It arrived on time, but then I needed to get a couple more parts to make it work how I needed it to work. And I still am working on like hammering out a couple final things to make it work 100% of the time for me, but I'm definitely doing a whole lot better. And the reason why I wanted to buy this particular thing that I did was I wanted more consistent stamps on these things, because at the time I was literally holding a letter die and hammering it, which, well, as good of a hammerer as you can be, you're going to be a little heavy on one side, you're going to be a little light on the other, and when you're dealing with a letter stamp, that is going to make it look a little cattywampus. Sometimes you'll even have part of the letter not show up. So I was like, okay, I need something that can do it flat, not like a hammer where it's a sudden blow. I need something that can do like consistent good pressure. So I was like, that's a press. I need a press. What kind of press am I going to get? I looked in Harbor Freight, I looked online, did all these things, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get this one on Amazon. It was $62. I ended up having to pay another almost $20 for the particular thing that I'm going to show you guys that I added onto it to make it work better for me. But here is what I bought. It is a nice little press, and excuse the noise as I set it down. Don't want to set it on my bookmarks because they scratch pretty easily. But anywho's, this is what we're looking at. It's literally just a hand press, nothing exciting about it whatsoever. Here is the little thing I paid $20 for. It's just this plus the post thing that's on, and this holds the letter dies that I have. My dies are right in front of me right over there, so that's what I use. I actually had to use a couple failed bookmarks as shims and a little piece of steel as a new stamping plate, because the initial one wasn't quite machined to be level, so I did that to make it a little more level. But that's just sort of what you do when you're buying really cheap machinery and really cheap equipment, because you're a penny pincher like me. But with that said, that is what I actually bought, and that added another $100 onto this entire bookmark adventure. And as I've mentioned before, guys, I bought a laser etcher to do stuff with these bookmarks, and well, I'm still working on that, still fighting my way through figuring out how to do this one just right for it. But there are a couple other things that I will be selling on my eBay store with that laser etcher. Lord willing, by the end of the week I should have my first product from that up, but I need to do some more work for that first, but I'm really excited for that particular product. I believe that one should be able to sell pretty well and make me some very good money, because end of the day, it's something I should be able to get the materials for free, and I'll basically just be paying for time and the electricity to operate my machine. And of course there's the wear and tear on the machine as well, which is something you guys have to keep in mind. Fortunately, when you're dealing with something like a press like this, a little hand press, it's really janky. Your expense per use is pretty stinking low. That thing will probably outlive me. But when you're doing a laser etcher, your computer stuff's going to wear out. You're going to have power surges that destroy stuff. You're going to have your diode for your laser burn out, that sort of stuff. Again, when you have boring old hand tools, they can outlast you pretty stinking easily. I use some tools that are from my grandpa all the time. In fact, I have used some tools that are from my great-grandpa, so tools can last. With all that said, though, guys, I hope this was helpful for you guys to start thinking on this sort of stuff. If you guys would like me to do an entire video just helping, hopefully, with your guys' ideation on things that you can add to your store, I would be more than happy to do a video on that, because it's something that I've spent many hours working on, sort of sifting through all the different ideas, all the different opportunities out there for you to do. There's a lot of money to be had, folks, and I hope this video, again, was helpful. If it was, please be sure to drop a like. If you guys have any magical ideas that might help me, with the bookmarks and all that sort of stuff, feel free to drop them in the comments. With that said, thanks again for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Be sure to check out one of my videos there, or subscribe there, and I, again, will see you in the next one.